Welcome to this presentation on working with fire. I'm Willa Kaiser. I'm a Vedic astrologer and a homeopath. Um, happen to be doing this presentation on a really elementally critical day in that there are bad fires all over California, and we're expecting storms with dry lightning today, which could worsen things if that comes to be, because it was the lightning strikes that caused the fires in the beginning. So I think our study and our prayers today will have a lot of meaning. It's an important day for prayer and understanding the elements. First of all, those of you who got my newsletter that came out a week ago, just before all of these fires started, and I sent out this newsletter just saying, "Oh my goodness, look at what's happening right now." This was on Sunday morning. I was just looking at the transits that were happening and realized that almost at the exact moment that sun that you see down here in the lower right was entering the sign of Leo, and the sun, of course, represents the fire element. Leo is a fire sign. At almost that exact moment, within a few minutes, Mars, which is also a fire planet, entered into Aries, which is another fire sign. And at the same time, Ketu, which is the south node of the moon, is in the fire sign of Sagittarius. Ketu's been there for a while. It's retrograding, slowly retrograding out sometime in September. I forget the exact date. It will retrograde out of Sagittarius. And that will, then it will be in the water sign of Scorpio. It's the sign that it owns. So in any case, we see that the fire trines are completely occupied by the fire planets, because Ketu is considered to be like ultra Mars. It's considered to be connected with the fire element. And this all happened on a Sunday, which is a day connected with fire and the sun. And it looked like we were in for a really fiery time. And indeed, that's when the dry lightning strikes happened and all of these fires erupted. So that's why I decided to do this seminar. I didn't realize that within a week it would be so bad, but fire has a very abrupt, quick way of expressing itself. That's why it has to do with accidents and injuries and sudden scary things, and all of that is very, very much connected with the fire element. And indeed, I was mentioning earlier before we started this presentation, I was actually down at the headwaters in Mount Shasta today doing a kind of emergency prayers, because the headwaters are a very powerful place, because the water there comes out of a spring and then goes all the way down through California, the Sacramento River. So I was doing prayers there and hurt my back, which again, injuries are very much connected with this fire energy, and especially Mars and Aries. And this happens to be my ascendant. So I figured something would happen to me, like some sort of accident or injury during this transit. And it did happen, and that's okay. I'll deal with it. It's just part of the picture. But in any case, the big part of the picture that we're discussing here is working with these fire energies. And what the saving grace in this chart is the fact that Jupiter is here. And Jupiter is a planet that represents the ether element. And the ether element is a very harmonizing element that is connected with bringing balance. And it's very strong in its own sign of Sagittarius right now. So, in terms of in terms of sort of the world situation, especially because this is the ascendant of the United States, there's some chance that things can be kind of made a bit right, and there can be some righteousness, some justice, some truth, things like that. So on the sort of socio-political level, of course, that's very excellent. And also from the point of view of all this fire energy in the fire trines, we have Jupiter there, and Jupiter aspects all of the fire trines. Jupiter has a triunal aspect according to Vedic astrology. So Jupiter is basically giving a harmonizing element to all of these fiery planets. So we're going to talk about 3 different ways to work with the fire energies. And this is all more on the kind of spiritual and elemental level that I'm talking today. I decided not to go into more of the health stuff in terms of herbs and everything, but this is more on the spiritual level and prayers and meditations that we can do to work with the energies right now. So this is just a little bit of a diagram that explains how the different planetary energies work with each other. I don't know how familiar you are with the glyphs, but if you see here Mars, this is the symbol for Mars that I'm circling. And so when the Mars energy is very strong, one of the ways that we can work with it is Jupiter, which is, of course, the ether element, as I said. So this is where the ether element, Mars is like the god of war, and Jupiter is the god of peace. So Mars, you know, can be a little bit aggressive and a little bit fiery, and then Jupiter can come and bring a kind of balance. And the other planet, you know, that can bring some harmony and balance is the moon, because the moon is the water element. And the water element, of course, when you put fire and water together, the water element can actually dampen or put out the fire. So these are the 2 energies that we're going to be talking about working with, or the 3. The 3 energies we're going to talk about working with is working directly with the fire element, working with the ether or space element for bringing in that harmony, and also working with the water element. Starting with ether or space. Guru, the name for Jupiter in Vedic astrology is actually Guru. And because Jupiter represents wisdom, knowledge, the element of magnetism, which Jupiter is the planet that actually has the strongest magnetic field. And Jupiter represents that energy that can kind of bring everything together in a very peaceful and expansive way. It's related with the sattva guna, or the quality of refined spiritual energy. Represents wisdom, wealth, the spiritual path, good fortune, intelligence, and truth. So these are the energies that Jupiter brings, and especially at this time of very strong fire element, it can bring, as I said, that whole balance. And it also is the planet of happiness. So it's very fortunate that Jupiter is in Sagittarius right now. As I said, it's the ascendant of the United States, and it is balancing all these fire trines. The traditional Vedic mantra for Jupiter is Om Gurave Namah, which basically means I pay homage to the Guru. And it's Om, and then Gurave is Guru, but it has some suffixes for grammatical reasons, and then Namah means to pay homage. Om Gurave Namah. So let's see, if everybody can just make sure they're muting themselves, that would be great. Thank you. But the mantra I wanted to discuss today is the Vadraguru Mantra, because this is connected with Padmasambhava. And Padmasambhava was, or is, the second Buddha who brought Buddhism to Tibet. And this mantra is very, very powerful for removing obstacles. So when we chant the Vadraguru Mantra, we are actually calling Padmasambhava, and we're also relating to our own inner guru, our own inner wisdom. And as we're doing that, we can bring about that kind of harmonious energy that helps to balance the fire element. So the mantra is Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. So I'll sing it a few times, and you're welcome. Hopefully you're muted, because it would be wonderful to chant together, but actually it's not really happening at the same time, so it doesn't really work to try to chant together on Zoom. So you'll just can listen to me and chant with me. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. So the Om here, and you can see the Om, I'm circling it in his third eye chakra, represents enlightened body. The Ah, which you can see here at the throat chakra, this is a red Ah, I'm circling it with my arrow, represents enlightened speech and is the seed syllable for the throat chakra. And then the Hung down here at the heart center, which I'm circling, represents enlightened mind. So we have enlightened body, Om, enlightened speech, Ah, enlightened mind, Hum. Vajra means indestructible, also diamond or thunderbolt. Guru is Padmasambhava, the Vadraguru. Padma means lotus or lotus family. Siddhi is accomplishment. And Hung is again the enlightened mind. So that is the full mantra, Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. So this can be a good mantra to do at difficult times like these, when the fire element is out of balance, or any time to remove any kind of obstacles. I don't have the slides here, but there's some information that I like to share about a blind beggar who was just an ordinary person and very miserable and unhappy. He lived in Bhutan, and he started chanting the Vadraguru Mantra. And through just chanting the Vadraguru Mantra, he couldn't do anything else because he was just blind, living on the streets. He became enlightened, and he had a vision of Padmasambhava, the Vadraguru, and he was taught some things where he was able to do some healing. Guru Padmasambhava taught him directly. So it's a very, very powerful practice just to chant this mantra. And there are some groups that are accumulating this mantra. You can contact me if you are interested in chanting it more. And I can tell you where you can send your accumulations. Some of the people in our group are doing a few thousand every day, which isn't all that hard to do. But it is a way to connect with this enlightened energy that exists inside ourselves and also exists in Guru Padmasambhava. So we'll chant it 3 more times together for auspiciousness. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Om. So here's just a little bit more information about the Vadraguru Mantra. It's said that the 12 syllables of the Vadraguru Mantra carry the entire blessing of the 12 types of teaching taught by the Buddha, which are the essence of his 84,000 dharmas. Therefore, to recite the Vadraguru Mantra once is equivalent to the blessing of reciting or practicing the whole teaching of the Buddha. The wisdom mind of Padmasambhava is manifested in the form of the mantra. These 12 syllables are actually the emanation of his wisdom mind, and they are endowed with his entire blessing. The Vadraguru Mantra is Padmasambhava in the form of sound. So when you invoke him with the recitation of these 12 syllables, the blessing and merit you obtain is tremendous. In these difficult times, it is appropriate to take refuge in the Vadraguru Mantra. It's a quote by Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. And you can see in this picture here, the white Om is streaming from Padmasambhava's third eye, and the red Ah is streaming from his heart to the student's heart, and the blue Hung, the red Ah is streaming to the throat, and then the blue Hung is streaming to the heart chakra. This is a practice called Guru Yoga, or uniting one's mind with the Guru's mind, where we receive these empowerments and receive these lights. And later I'm going to be talking about sending out lights during the fire. When we talk about fire, we're going to be talking about sending out lights from those same three places. So it's kind of good to have a little bit of a visual here. Now we're going to talk about working with water. As I mentioned, water is the element that can put out a fire. So doing practices that increase the energy of water. Water is related to devotion, to purity, clarity. It has many important qualities, and the planets associated with water are the moon and Venus. So wearing pearls is a wonderful way to increase water energy. Whoops. There are, you can also, quartz crystals and diamonds are very good for Venus. So these are known as, in the Buddhist tradition, the 8 qualities of pure water: crystal clarity, coolness, sweetness, lightness, softness, soothing to the stomach, free of impurities, and clears the throat. So those are the qualities of water, the 8 qualities of pure water that we like to offer. So doing water offerings is a very wonderful practice. And what you can do is pour water into any vessel. Traditionally, there are often 7 water bowls, but I have all kinds of things. I have a whole fountain of water. I also have very large bowls in situations that we're in now where things are so dry. I just fill very large crystal bowls full of water. And there are some nice prayers that we can do that are an offering. I'm going to share a water offering prayer with you and then come back to the slideshow. But I'm going to go to another place now, which will be here where I have my documents. Let's see. This bar is hiding what I'm trying. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this is a well-known prayer for offering water. So we can imagine right now that we're offering a lot of water. We can imagine that we are offering all the water in the Pacific Ocean or all the water in the Sacramento River. Just imagine right now. We'll do it in our imagination. But you can also, use this prayer very well to offer water in your own home. And we'll say this in English. Hum, this pool of nectar possessing the 8 qualities of pure water, I now offer to all the Buddhas and their retinues. As you accept it, may I and all sentient beings gather the accumulations, purify obscurations, and empty samsara from its very depths. And then there is a mantra. I'll repeat it 3 times. Om Sarva Tata Gata Saparivara Argram Pratitsa Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaya Aho. Om Sarva Tata Gata Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaya Aho. Om Sarva Tata Gata Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaya Aho. In that way we offer water and bring more water element into the world. So now we'll go back to the PowerPoint. Oops. And now we'll talk about fire and working with the fire element through spiritual practice. So fire, as I've been talking about before, of course, fire has 2 elements. One is the heat aspect, which is represented more by Mars, heat and burning. And there's also the light aspect, which is represented more by the sun. The anger and passion are both associated with the fire element. And of course, the fire element also represents our immune system as well. So, for example, herbs such as echinacea, which if you ever taste it, it's got that really sharp quality. And it's very, very good for the immune system. And onions and garlic are also very good in terms of killing microbes and things like that. And they've also got that very sharp kind of taste. They're associated with Mars as well. So strengthening the immune system is one of the good things that you can do with a strong Mars. But it also can lead in terms of physical things to inflammation in the body, to infections, or the immune system coming to the defense and causing the redness and the heat that are all signs of inflammation. So this is what we're working with when we're working with strong fire. One of my favorite practices that I pretty much do every day is what we would call a fire puja. I'm going to basically show you a very simple way to do it. This is a picture here of a wonderful Lama Dzongtsar Khyentse Rinpoche doing a fire puja. And there's a very simple way you can do it. Then there are also more elaborate ways, but we're going to go for the simple right now. What you can do is either take a stick of incense, or if you want to be a little more elaborate, take a piece of charcoal, that one of those round pieces of charcoal that are used for burning incense, and on it you can light the charcoal or light the incense. And if you're using charcoal, you can sprinkle different kinds of sweet smelling substances on it. It's wonderful to be able to just go out into nature. For example, up here in Mount Shasta or Lake Shastina where I live, it's full of juniper, and juniper is just wonderful for doing this ceremony and very purifying. We also have here sagebrush, which is another plant that when it burns just has a wonderful purifying smell. But you can use lavender, rose petals, anything that's not poisonous but has a good fragrance is good to offer. And you can also buy these kinds of substances. I buy in bulk things like lavender flowers. I do grow some of my own lavender, And rosemary is wonderful too. So anything, any kind of fragrant herb is good. Um, and you can offer frankincense and myrrh, those kinds of uh, resins. You can even harvest resins yourself. Sometimes you can see pine trees that have some resin on them, and you can harvest that. And now for purifying karma, for doing karmic purification, one of the best things to actually offer is black sesame seed. Sesame seed is associated with the planet Saturn, and the color black is also associated with Saturn. And Saturn represents, our suffering, our difficult karmas, disease, the tough stuff that happens to us is represented by Saturn. And so it's a very strong method of purification to offer black sesame seed. So if you do have a little piece of charcoal, you can put on some nice fragrant herbs and resins, and you can also offer black sesame seed. And it's also good to offer a little food, such as grains, basically. Like you can offer dry oats or barley, and you can offer butter if you want to offer a little bit of butter. That can be good. Traditionally we offer the three whites and the three sweets. The three whites are milk, yogurt, and butter, and the three sweets are sugar, honey, and brown sugar or palm sugar or something like that. So these are some of the things you can offer. Or if you want to do it really simply, you can just offer a stick of incense. And first of all, it's good before you do any practice to set your intention that you're doing this to help all beings, to purify your own karma, but also to help all of the beings who are suffering in this world. And you can do some of the Vadraguru Mantra first to connect with your own inner nature, your own inner guru. So you can chant Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. So you can chant that mantra 3 times or 7 times, or do like a whole mala 108 times to be in touch with your inner guru and make your intention that you're doing this for all sentient beings. And then as you see the smoke coming from this stick of incense or your offerings, you can imagine that that smoke is going into all the realms and giving all of the beings who are suffering, whether they're in a hungry ghost realm or the animal realm or the human realm or one of the higher God realms, that the smoke is going into all the realms of existence, and it is becoming wisdom nectar that nourishes all of these beings, releases them from their suffering, and leads and helps them become enlightened. So it's a really wonderful aspiration. And as you're imagining that, you're chanting Om, Ah, and Hum. Remember, I had mentioned that. So as you're blessing the smoke by emanating these lights, a white Om from here, a red Ah from your throat, and a blue Hum from your heart center. So we can just imagine right now that we have some incense here. We have some incense here, and we can imagine that it's lit. And we can first chant the Vadraguru Mantra, Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vadraguru Padmasidi Hum. So that really puts us in the ether element and gives us our connection with our inner guru and Guru Padmasambhava. And then as the smoke is wafting, we recite Om Ahum, 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 Om Ahum. So that is a simple way to do this practice by chanting the syllables Om, Ah, and Hum. And then afterwards, certainly dedicate the practice that you've just done and say, this is for the benefit of all beings. So this is an incredible way to purify karma, and especially if there are any obstacles. And many of us, of course, are facing obstacles with the pandemic and the fires and our own personal obstacles as well. And this practice is very, very powerful for purifying those obstacles. This now is a way to offer light, which can be done by lighting a candle. And this again is Dzongtsar Khyentse Rinpoche, offering a candle, offering a light. And here are some of the benefits of offering lights by lighting candles. You can even offer, if you don't want to burn anything, because you don't want to have a candle going or something, you can just turn on a light. I have on my shrines, I have electric lights that I use. And I also sometimes offer candles, but every morning I turn on the lights and offer the electric lights on my shrine. So you can do that too. So the benefits of offering light: one becomes like the light of the world. One achieves clairvoyance of the pure eye as a human. One achieves the Deva's eye, the eye of the gods. One receives the wisdom to discriminate virtue from non-virtue. Light is very much associated with wisdom. One is able to eliminate the concept of inherent existence. So we get in touch with pure wisdom. One receives the illumination of wisdom. One is reborn as a human or a deva, a god. Whoops. One receives great enjoyment and wealth. One quickly becomes liberated, and one quickly attains enlightenment. So these are some of the benefits. So it's a very powerful practice to offer light, and especially anybody who's interested in the path of great perfection. It's considered to be very auspicious to offer light. So here are some light offering prayers that we can read together. And again, we can imagine that we are actually turning on a light, or offering a candle, lighting a candle. And this one, light offering aspiration prayer, Om Ah Hum. There's the Om Ah Hum again, same thing. White Om, red Ah, blue Hum. May the light of this lamp become rainbow light, filling the sky, the earth, and the space between. And from this light may offering goddesses emerge, together with desirable gifts and sensory delights. To the Guru, chosen deities, and the three jewels, and also the hosts of Dakinis and Dharma protectors, I offer this lamp of the brilliant, clear appearance of real gifts and those imagined by the mind. Through the merit of offering this light, may the darkness of ignorance be dispelled. May misdeeds, harms, and obscurations all be purified. May adversity and obstacles be overcome. May my life force and merit blaze forth. May my qualities of experience and realization blaze forth. May the Buddhist teachings long remain ablaze, and may happiness and well-being blaze throughout the world. And one more light offering. I offer all the light that there is, corresponding to the Lord of infinite light's immeasurable wisdom light qualities, as an offering of vividly illuminating light. May I and all other beings go from the light of the higher realms to the ultimate light of the supreme, definitively excellent state, effortlessly and automatically, and may the illuminating light of wisdom forever blaze brightly for us all. This was written by Tinley Norbu Rinpoche. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint now. So another way that we can work with these elements is understanding, especially with any afflictive emotions that we have, that if we are able to relax and just rest in our own natural way of being, those emotions are actually liberated into wisdom. And this is a very important understanding according to, you could call it Buddhist psychology or something like that. But for example, here in the middle, we have a blue dakini. She represents the liberation of ignorance into what's called the Dharmadhatu wisdom, the wisdom of our own nature, mind's nature. And down here we have the Vajra Dakini, the white Dakini, and she represents the liberation of anger, the emotion of anger into mirror-like wisdom. Over here on this side, we have the Ratna Dakini, the yellow Dakini, and she represents the liberation of pride into equanimity. And this is something we can experience, this is something we can experience right in our own minds if we are able to have the awareness to notice when we go into one of these states and just rest in that state and liberate that emotion into wisdom. Here is the Padma Dakini, and she represents desire, and the liberation of that is into discriminating wisdom. And finally over here we have the green Dakini, Karma Dakini, and she represents the liberation of jealousy into all accomplishing wisdom. So that's all summarized right here. And in the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. So we can see again that each of these emotional poisons, such as pride, jealousy, ignorance, greed, and hatred, all are liberated into these wisdoms. And this is something you can actually experience for yourself in meditation. So if you're interested in this, it's really a good path to go. Of course, this is referred to in the Samantabhadra prayer or the Kuntu Zangpo prayer, if you want to learn more about that. But I just wanted to mention this because certainly with the fire element being so strong, anger can also be very strong, as can desire. And if we are experiencing these kinds of emotions, we can do some resting in the natural mind in order to liberate those emotions and transform them, or basically what it is, recognize them for what they are on a wisdom level, rather than being controlled by them in the afflictive emotion level. So finally, I did want to share the elemental prayer of Padmasambhava, because all the fires that are going on right now. This prayer is very powerful for stopping fires and bringing the elements back into balance. So I'm going to share my screen again here, and we can chant this prayer together 3 times in English. Here it is. Okay, here's the prayer. This is the elemental prayer. And before you saw the dakinis of the different elements, and this is actually this prayer is referring to Padmasambhava, Guru Rinpoche, who we talked about, and the 4 element goddesses as well, the 4 element dakinis. So both those elements coming together in this prayer. When the obstacles of the elements, earth, water, fire, and wind arise, if it becomes dangerous for both humans, animals, and their dwelling places, pray intensely to Guru Rinpoche without doubt. He is Padmasambhava, surrounded by the 4 element goddesses, who will definitely pacify all dangers. I pray to the Guru lotus-born. May you fulfill our wishes spontaneously. When obstacles of the elements, earth, water, fire, and wind arise, if it becomes dangerous for both humans, animals, and their dwelling places, pray intensely to Guru Rinpoche without doubt. He is Padmasambhava, surrounded by the 4 element goddesses, who will definitely pacify all dangers. I pray to the Guru lotus-born. May you fulfill our wishes spontaneously. When the obstacles of the elements, earth, water, fire, and wind arise, if it becomes dangerous for both humans, animals, and their dwelling places, pray intensely to Guru Rinpoche without doubt. He is Padmasambhava, surrounded by the 4 element goddesses, who will definitely pacify all dangers. I pray to the Guru lotus-born. May you fulfill our wishes spontaneously. So finally, go to the next slide. We'll just take a moment. Whoops, sorry. We'll just take a moment to rest in the nature of the mind, and this is done just by relaxing, keeping your eyes open, your mouth slightly open, and just watching your breath a little bit if you like, and just sit quietly. And rest your mind. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. If anybody wants a copy of any of these prayers, you're welcome to email me, and I'd be happy to send them to you. And I wish everyone happiness, and especially stay very safe and healthy during these difficult times. So thank you very much for joining us.